You bump the table. The mug tips. Coffee ruins your laptop. You don't assume your spouse engineered the spill to sabotage your career. You just accept it was a clumsy accident. There is a philosophical rule for moments like this, called Hanlon's razor. It states that you should never attribute to malice what can be adequately explained by stupidity or simple human error. We apply this logic effortlessly in our daily lives, but the moment a failure scales up from a personal annoyance to a global catastrophe, that logic entirely vanishes. Consider a massive health crisis. Look at the extreme, isolated conditions inside these hospital wards. When medical systems fractured and contradictory policies rolled out week by week, millions of people completely lost trust in the institutions managing the response. Or look at the floor of a stock exchange during a sudden market crash. The papers scattered everywhere, the scrambling traders. It is a picture of total, uncoordinated systemic failure. Faced with overlapping catastrophes like these, a massive portion of the public abandons Hanlon's razor. Instead of accepting cascading bureaucratic incompetence, they begin looking for a hidden hand, assuming a globalist cabal orchestrated the disaster on purpose. To the human mind, the idea that the world is a randomly chaotic system with no one at the wheel is terrifying. The existence of a coordinated, evil enemy is actually far more comforting. Our brains are poorly equipped to process true randomness. Once a situation involves dozens of conflicting institutions and thousands of overlapping data points, it exceeds our mental bandwidth and registers as pure noise. To survive that noise, evolutionary biology wired us with a trait called hypersensitive agency detection. When a bush rustles in the dark, it is safer to assume a predator is hiding there than to assume it is just the wind. We are biologically forced to see deliberate actors, even when looking at structural accidents. This chart demonstrates how that bias warps our view of policy. We take a scatterplot of random, chaotic failures and forcefully connect the dots into a rigid, deliberate master plan. Processing the reality that hundreds of disconnected agencies simply acted on flawed assumptions and terrible incentives takes immense cognitive effort. A single evil mastermind is an incredibly efficient mental shortcut. Historians actually have a name for this reality, the cock-up theory. It argues that massive historical disasters are almost always the result of limited capacity, groupthink, and staggering blunders. Look at these dense rows of ordinary politicians. This is where those blunders actually happen. It is a messy, crowded room of fallible humans trying to navigate conflicting mandates, not a shadowy boardroom of omnipotent villains. The master plan is an illusion. It is a projection our own brains create to filter out the deafening noise of systemic chaos. Inventing a boogeyman doesn't mean someone is unintelligent. Constructing an enemy is a highly effective psychological coping mechanism, satisfying three distinct human needs. The first is epistemic. We crave certainty and clear explanations. A malevolent mastermind provides a neat, easily digestible answer to an impossibly complex problem. The second is existential, driven by a phenomenon psychologists call compensatory control. When our environment becomes entirely unpredictable and we feel completely powerless, believing that a shadow cabal is pulling the strings offers a bizarre sense of relief, because it means at least someone is driving the car. Think about the profound dread triggered by sudden, massive societal shutdowns. The complete emptiness and unnatural stillness of major cities stripped away every illusion of normalcy and personal agency. The third need is social. Scapegoating simplifies an overwhelming crisis into a clear battle of us versus them. This creates intense group cohesion and a powerful shared identity among those who believe they see the truth. You can see this tribalism physically manifest when the public projects that malevolent intent onto shifting geopolitical migrations, reframing complex economic and environmental displacement as a deliberate, coordinated invasion. We do not embrace boogeymen because we enjoy scary stories. We construct them because we are desperate for a sense of order, physical safety, and a defined tribe. Large-scale longitudinal studies reveal a devastating paradox. Using boogeymen to cope with chaos completely backfires. This chart tracks a person's sense of control. As people endorse conspiracy narratives to cope, alienation worsens, driving a downward spiral. Eventually, this spiral shatters the trust required for democratic institutions to function. Citizens disengage and look for authoritarian solutions. And that leads to the ultimate danger. By focusing our anger on an imaginary cabal, we allow the actual mechanisms of failure to operate completely unchecked. The true causes of societal decay are dangerously boring. Chronic poor training, conflicting agency mandates, institutions repeating flawed practices, and politicians making short-term choices. Now, Hanlon's razor has a critical limit. We cannot be naive. Genuine malice, deliberate corruption, and elite self-dealing absolutely exist. But those real threats thrive best when they can hide inside a messy, chaotic bureaucracy. To hold those in power genuinely accountable, we have to stop giving them the credit of being supervillains. We have to confront the far more dangerous, deeply entrenched reality of ordinary human incompetence.